there's a difference between being transparent and bleeding on the congregation. I
Mm.
want us to be careful that we don't
Mhm.
unintentionally create a pathology in the pulpit.
Every time you glance up, it seems like P. Diddy is embroiled in some new drama. His name popped up in relation to the Pac and Biggie incident, making it even stranger to hear about his alleged odd behavior with a preacher. Reports of P. Diddy's secretive party events are circulating, and it was Cassie who initially shed light on them, alerting everyone. Despite many being aware of P. Diddy's activities for years, some kept it hush-hush, likely because they were involved themselves. Big names in the industry, mind you. Now that the cat's out of the bag, P. Diddy can only either brush it off or deny it, which seems to be his current strategy. The evidence is mounting, with various people he's worked with, including artists, producers, bodyguards, and other industry figures, speaking up. But it's especially shocking when someone like Reverend T.D. Jakes is linked to P. Diddy's gatherings. Gino Jennings, another pastor, expressed disbelief at T.D. Jakes attending such events, questioning how someone of his stature could lower themselves to partake in such activities. This sentiment resonates with many who hold P. Diddy in high regard, seeing him not just as an entertainer, but as a figure of influence and respect. T.D. Jakes' association with P. Diddy's parties raises eyebrows, especially since these events don't exactly scream spirituality or sanctity. Gino Jennings' perspective carries weight, coming from a reliable source, yet it's easy for some to misinterpret it. It's jarring to hear of a preacher at P. Diddy's events, adding another layer to the unfolding narrative. Presenting himself as the voice of reason, there's been a noticeable blurring of boundaries in the industry lately, and the P. Diddy saga has underscored this. To put it differently, while it's not surprising to see singers, actors, and other entertainers at parties, the presence of those expected to uphold a moral compass for society casts doubt on everything. This feeling is amplified after learning about what transpired at these gatherings. Cassie and a few of P. Diddy's bodyguards have already shed light on the situation, breaking down the events in detail. Many were already aware, while others were oblivious to what was happening. Some musicians and producers only realized P. Diddy's activities after attending one of his events. As mentioned earlier, there were both supporters and critics of the scene P. Diddy orchestrated. However, the fact that T.D. Jakes attended these gatherings has become the focal point of media attention. We all know the risky nature of such activities. While it's one thing for T.D. Jakes to explore potential partnerships with P. Diddy and discuss sharing spiritual messages through secular music, it's quite another for him to participate in activities so far removed from his religious beliefs without any apparent preaching or discussion involved. Gino Jennings brought up a valid point about scriptures or the Holy Spirit being absent at these gatherings. He questioned why someone like T.D. Jakes would attend P. Diddy's events when the nature of these gatherings is well known. The question arises, was T.D. Jakes present when P. Diddy had Cassie performing various acts? Jennings seems to allude to this possibility. It's not reasonable to assume that T.D. Jakes was merely an innocent bystander. It prompts inquiries into his activities during these private parties. This is precisely what Gino Jennings is addressing. He's aware, perhaps more than anyone else, of the responsibilities of a preacher who guides a large congregation. Jennings is mindful of how every action by a preacher can impact the public perception, especially in the media. Jennings has been emphasizing that not every preacher or pastor is what they claim to be. Now, with narratives emerging of a preacher like T.D. Jakes frequenting P. Diddy's gatherings, it raises concerns about the actions of other pastors in similar situations. T.D. Jakes, being at the pinnacle of the pastor industry, is under intense scrutiny. However, this also casts a spotlight on other preachers nationwide who might be involved in similar activities, albeit on a smaller scale. What Gino Jennings aimed to highlight in his sermon about T.D. Jakes was his unwillingness to turn a blind eye to questionable actions, even when it involves someone as prominent as T.D. Jakes. Another pastor accused Gino Jennings of engaging in unethical behavior, but he wanted to clarify that it didn't accurately represent his stance. T.D. Jakes' response to Jennings demonstrates his detachment. Instead of addressing the allegations and acknowledging any issues with the activities at P. Diddy's parties, he threatened to remove Jennings' entire service from broadcasting. This response speaks volumes, especially considering T.D. Jakes' frequent attendance at these events. If the allegations weren't true, T.D. Jakes could have simply denied participating in any misconduct. However, he avoided directly addressing the question and focused on Jennings' revelation. This avoidance left many questioning why T.D. Jakes attended P. Diddy's events in the first place. Clearly, these weren't typical fundraisers, and T.D. Jakes should have condemned receiving any fundraising money associated with such activities. Instead, he not only attended these gatherings, but also participated in numerous events, now facing accusations of wrongdoing. The truth is apparent: money and influence play a significant role. T.D. Jakes' presence at these parties could be seen as an attempt to solicit donations for his church from other attendees. However, as a religious leader, he should be mindful of his associations and motives. Seeing him alongside P. Diddy and other industry giants raises doubts about his sincerity. His response to his congregation's concerns only adds to the uncertainty, as he fails to address whether he was involved in any illicit activities. He adopts a victim mentality by acknowledging his imperfections and stating that he never claimed to be flawless. However, there's a crucial distinction between being an imperfect moral leader and portraying oneself as such while engaging in morally questionable actions and accepting money from dubious sources. Gino Jennings speaks from this standpoint, aiming to enlighten the masses about worldly temptations that even pastors and preachers cannot deny. These temptations are pervasive and difficult for many to resist. Now that both a preacher like T.D. Jakes and P. Diddy have faced scrutiny, it will be intriguing to observe the potential ripple effect this may have. Stay vigilant and prepared for whatever unfolds.